Well, hey everybody. Here's my video for Tuskegee honey about how we're setting up our fruit tree orchard and how we're going to deer proof it. We have a real heavy concentration of deer that eat everything, even things that I was told they wouldn't eat, like Christmas trees. They ate a bunch of those last year. So, for the honeybees and the pollinators, I wanted to put some more fruit trees. And I got some fruit trees from a local place, and my student volunteer, shout out to Sheree. Hey, thank you. She came one day and we dug all the holes for the fruit trees and we sort of got everything set up. But I kind of put the cart before the horse, so I had to start looking on YouTube. I was like, yeah, wait, I've got to protect these young trees that the deer don't eat them. So I watched the video, and there was a real nice guy who had a really good video and showed the results and everything. So I'm taking some information from what he did. So thing number one I have these little alarms everywhere. Got them on Amazon, and they're solar powered. They blink. They make a loud sound. So I've placed these strategically, and you'll hear them on the video going off, because every time something crosses in front of them, they go off, which is great. And I think that really freaks out the deer because I'm not seeing any damage so far. Oh, and then a friend of mine, shout out to Sharita. Hey girl. She actually had a post driver for T-post, because my plan is this. We're going to have alarms. We're going to have some netting or some fencing that's about 6, 7, 8 feet tall. And here's the post driver thing, which I thought this thing would be so hard to do and use, but I was actually able to get these things into the ground really easily, and they're real sturdy. I love it. This is actually now my second favorite farm tool. My wire cutters are my number one tool. So some of this idea also came from, I didn't realize that people actually build fence areas to keep deer in for, I guess, hunting purposes. So near where I am, there's these people, and they have this, I think this is the welded wire, and they had fence posts, and I think they also had T-posts. Yeah, I think they also had that. And I like this welded wire because the openings are really big, and I wouldn't have to worry so much about birds or anything getting tangled up in the mesh netting wire. So my 3-prong approach, an exterior, 3D solar electrified fence, haven't gotten that yet. Putting up some welded wire on 8-foot posts, and yeah, the alarms. So this should be enough to keep the deer out. And here you can see, I'm not starting with the welded wire for a whole lot of reasons. I'm using this mesh netting, which between the alarms and the mesh netting should keep the deer out, at least until I get a chance to get a solar fence. And I've been delaying on getting the solar electric fence because I want to make sure I get it set up properly and grounded properly. Yeah, so, and the cost. So working on that. So here's some of the mesh netting that I got set up so far. And when I was doing this the other day, I ran out of zip ties, so I had to put this off, closing off the other side, to another day. But so far, I do think this is working. And apparently with deer, you just have to keep working at it, because they're going to be there. They're going to do what they do. So you just got to figure out ways to outsmart them. So here's a video of what I've been up to. Okay, so on this side of the Christmas trees, I decided, remember, these are the Christmas trees that got run over, were eaten by deer. So on this section, I'm going to put all the fruit trees. And I know we always have a deer problem, so I started probably going to try the 3D fence. And also I had this at my house, and I ordered a few more. So maybe this noise and blinking lights will scare the deer. And so we might try the fence netting. And then if that doesn't work, then we'll also try the solar fence. So I think we've got 3 lines of defense to protect this beginning patch, this small fruit orchard. If it works, or we figure out what works, then we can just expand it to another area and have more fruit trees for the honeybees. Yay! Okay, thank goodness for friends who also like farming. So I borrowed their post. A friend of mine, thanks Sharita, her post hole driver. T-post driver? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to get these T-posts in and maybe get a few holes dug. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is we're going to go with the 8-foot welded wire fence. So this is about 4 feet maybe, but we're going to get extenders, make it go up 8 feet. And gonna also put an electric fence on the perimeter. So these fruit trees, once they get planted, should be relatively safe from being eaten and destroyed by the deer. So that's the plan. Okay, so we got some plum trees planted today. Methyl plum. And let's see, what else? Santa Rosa plum. We got little apple trees. I think that says Enterprise apple. And then here in the middle are some pear trees. Collie apple. Pear trees are Dixie Delight. As you can see, these pear trees are pretty tall. Senator Clark pear. This one, Kiefer pear. Whew, okay. So we got a lot planted. You see what they look like? We've got some string all around them, which so far seems to be deterring the deer. And this is going to be a really nice little fruit orchard. I do not know why I didn't think of putting this in a couple of years ago, but we're getting it done. So, like I said, I ordered some more of these little security blinking alarms, and I'm just going to point this towards the trees that I planted. So that should pretty much, see if you walk in front of it or if the deer walk in front of it, the lights are going to blink and the alarm is going to go off. Okay, it's blinking now. All right, I ordered some more of those. We're going to get some more wire mesh to go all around, and I think we'll be good. And we can finish putting in the rest of the trees. Woohoo! Looking good. Okay, slowly but surely, I'm getting the outer perimeter electric fence wire strung up, and gonna sort of kind of work on the inner fence line, trying to do the 3D fence for the deer to keep them out. And I also have the alarms, and as you'll notice, I'm on the outside of the perimeter, And there is one of the little alarms. And I think, oh, and it saw me. So I can imagine that is super annoying to the deer when they're out here, especially at night. It's really annoying when you're out here working. Okay, so that one's gonna go off. Then there's one here that I don't know if my going behind it, if it's gonna notice. But yeah, so that goes off. And if you're actually between the two, they all start going off. And there's another one up on the other side. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going back to this one. Oh, this is, whoop, okay. So this is about 10 feet, so it definitely protects these trees here. So you can hear all the loud sounds. Thank goodness we're in a pretty rural area, so it's not, hopefully it's not annoying the neighbors. Oh, and it's so wet and mucky out here today. And then we've got the little one that just beeps. Not as loud as the others, but still effective. So it's a beginning. It's a start. Okay, so I got my mesh netting, and it's a little short, but there's a lot of things I like about this. The openings are really wide. That way I won't have to worry about small birds getting stuck in there. And it may be just enough of a barrier for the deer if they get nosy. Now, granted, there's about some space underneath that they probably could squeeze down under there, but this roll of wire wasn't that expensive. Not wire, but mesh netting wasn't that expensive. So I could probably just get another roll and drape another layer. Okay, so I still have to install some more poles in between because I don't want to run the whole length and then have it sagging. And because I got the T-posts that were too short, I just used some extra PVC pipe that I had laying around, and I just made it sit up taller. So it's over my head right now, so that's at least 5 feet, maybe 6 feet off the ground. Yeah, definitely 6 feet off the ground if it's over my head. So between this mesh and the alarms and the outer 3D perimeter solar fence, electric fence that I'm going to put in, it's a start. So, oh, and all these little baby trees here that didn't grow, we're going to dig those up and move them someplace else because they're just going to get run over by the lawnmower. But I'm proud of myself that I got this done so far. And because I'm not in the line of sight of any of the alarms, that's why you don't hear them going off right now, which is great. So I'm going to I got a couple more poles to install, and then I may try to finish getting some of this wire put up today. We shall see. Okay, so these are my girls in my flow hive, and they're beginning to cap honey. Yay! Good for them.